I hate the hiccups. They're the worst.
Oh yeah,
Oh, fuck.
they come out of nowhere and they just embarrassment.
So if I'm in the middle of a sentence, I just pause. And then I just sit there in pain for like 5 seconds before continuing my sentence because I have the hiccups. Check. Ba-dum-bum-bum-ba-dum. Doo-ba-doo-doo-doo.
Check 1, 2.
Fuck.
This is gonna happen. This is gonna stay the entire episode of this.
Oh, fuck the hiccups, man.
Drink some water.
Let's see if I just chugging this entire thing helps. Just real quick.
Alright, so our time limit is when
Yeah,
Julian
while I'm
has to use the
doing
bathroom.
while I'm doing this, Akash,
What's up?
do a quick intro or something.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Where's the Time Gone, episode 15. We have our first guest since relaunching. Welcome, Jayden.
Hello.
So how have you been?
While Julian just chugs water.
I finished it. Maybe I should finish it, but then I won't have any left.
No, we need you to
No,
not
no,
just go to the bathroom randomly.
I'm
I
rationing
have
mine.
300 liters left. Milliliters, not liters. 300 liters would be a lot of water.
Yeah.
Julian just continues to chug.
I
Yep.
think
We're gonna have to make a cut right here.
I think the hiccups are good. Nah, fuck it. Fuck
Glad
it
to
all.
hear.
All right, Jayden. How you doing?
I don't know. I'm all right. There's a lot of stuff happening. Life has been crazy recently, but we go with what we go with.
Life. Yeah, quarantine has been crazy for everybody. The country just gets crazier as the days go on,
Mm-hmm.
and but it's still nice that we get to hop on these Zoom call and like have conversations with friends and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Like I've really been cherishing every kind of like Zoom call that I get with just everybody that I have. I actually have because I have goals that like every week I always change my goals out and I put it on my whiteboard. And like right now, for SIG App, it's to meet two brothers and have a Zoom call with them every week. So it's like I make it a big thing to just always have connections with people because you're not really seeing anybody. So it's just like you gotta find a way to get some sort of kind of socialization.
That is true. I've been on that like getting socialization thing. I've been calling friends like every day. That's been my thing. I'm not sure if we talked about it on the podcast last week, but like I traded in my PlayStation like last Sunday or something like that. So now it's been like 2 weeks, but I realized I was just craving for that social connection. I was using the PlayStation as a way to do that. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck that. Let me get rid of this PlayStation because it's not actually adding benefit to my life. And then to get that social connection, I can just call my actual friends. And then since then, I've been calling people every day, having at least like 30-minute conversations with people. A lot of times it'll turn into 2 hours or 3 hours. And it's nice because now this is a small benefit of not seeing your friends as often is when you do see them, you have some legitimate stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
You're not just like, yeah, man, the clouds yesterday were extra fluffy. Yeah, and I saw this puppy that was really cute again. And, yeah, I wore a blue shirt today instead of a red shirt like I did yesterday. So,
Like there's more changes that's happening because we're just not seeing each other as often. So it's like really cool to like actually connect with people a little bit more deep.
yeah.
Because you have just more time in between.
Yeah. You get to talk about what they've been working on during quarantine.
Exactly.
What projects they're, like, looking on growing now. What's
What's been on their mind? What they're
what's
consuming.
been on their mind and like bothering
Yeah.
them. I was trying to find a good way to say that. I was like, I was about to say like angsting them, and I was like, that's not a word. Yeah, it's a big one. How about you, Jayden? What you been working on? What are your aside from talking to people every week? What other goals have you been putting up on that whiteboard of yours?
Well, there's like multifaceted. I know more towards the summer or more in the summer was very much like peer leader oriented. Being a team lead this year was insane, given the fact that we had to handle it like an online orientation, which was crazy and unprecedented.
Yeah,
Um,
for those of the people that don't know what a team lead is, explain that
oh,
real quick.
yeah. So for like the peer leader program, you just have your like regular peer leader, where we get usually like 20, to like 25 students, like new students coming in, and then you kind of help them out throughout the first semester. Team lead will then get about 15 of those peer leaders um, under them to kind of make sure that they're following through with everything. And as a team lead, you talk a little bit more with administration and actually like get to kind of put your input on what kind of orientation events you're actually going to be able to do and making sure that they actually run well.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's
it
good,
was
man.
been a bit crazy, especially like the last minute stuff was changing where Stevens was like all online, offline, like going this kind of crazy stuff was insane.
Yeah, I've talked to a few people about how they were handling it, and they were all. It was definitely mixed reviews, and none of
Mhm.
them were super positive.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
had like one student coming into the call and like a lot of them just not
Yeah,
having their cameras on,
because the
stuff
other
like
thing is
that.
like without the physical sense of like having a room to go to and seeing people physically and like actually feeling like you don't have connections and uh, having this almost peer pressure to go connect with people. Without
Yeah.
that, going into a Zoom call to just learn about some stuff and get like orientation stuff from Stevens doesn't seem that important.
Yeah, I think the hardest thing that like goes through communicating through Zoom is energy
Yeah,
because you just don't have because like I know last year very big thing for me was kind of like permeating the energy that I had, like going
yeah,
into a room, showing off all that energy, and the people that won't really, doesn't want to be there, sometimes you can get them to kind of get
yeah.
into it
We'll talk about it
with that
consistently
energy.
where it's like you need to come with double the energy, if not
Yeah,
triple
Mhm.
the energy you want them to have. And in the Zoom, it's like I
it's
would
just
assume it's got to be at least like 4 or 5
Yeah.
times.
oh, but like that's the thing is you can come in with 4 or 5 times the amount of energy, but it's so easy for them to just turn off their camera, just
Mhm.
kind of look at something else, and then you're not doing anything. Like you
Yeah,
can't actually gain any traction. So it's very much just kind of like a roll of the dice almost with how
yeah,
with who you get. Because I was like really really blessed this year, having like 10 people that are super active, and because their peers are active, then the kind of fringe people start to then gain a little bit more traction. But like I there's a lot of people in the team this year just not really getting anything going because they don't have the kind of other people
yeah, man.
to kind of rile people up.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just not the same.
Yeah,
It takes a lot more thinking. Like it was also very short notice. So it wasn't
Yeah.
like, oh, we're doing this. I'm assuming it wasn't like we're doing this on Zoom and then you really thought through every single thing. It was like, all right, so how does translating energy different through Zoom and like have time to research that and like practice that?
yeah, because like we just had like training the same as we would usually have it, but unfortunately, like that doesn't kind of correlate with what
Yeah,
is the environment that
Yep.
we were put into.
Mhm.
you're being taught how to ride a bike when you're being given a skateboard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
More or
Still got
less.
wheels,
Whole different
but that's like
methodology though.
it. Oh man, I feel like that's been a lot. I was listening to some kind of thing today, and they were like, the goals of everything haven't changed. It's just the rules.
Mhm.
yeah,
It's the rules that are just completely different. Like, oh, I know what it was. It was an interview with Trevor Noah and John Cena. He was on like I guess last night because it was the Daily Show and they do it at night. Um, and he was talking about how because he couldn't do book signings. He was having Zoom calls, but getting the email and information and a little like tidbit about each person that was on the Zoom call, and he would record videos of them for them, not of them. That would be weird.
Mm-hmm.
He would record videos for them and send them like personalized videos for each person, because they can't do meet and greets, so he can't shake people's hands and have a little conversation with them. So he would record videos for each individual person. And that's one of those things where it's like, the game is completely different, and you really actually need to get creative and take your stuff out of the box that you think you're in, because we're not in the box anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like, even the fact that, at least for our instance, you're now getting students that some are on campus and then some are off campus in their own homes. So you now have to handle and, again, be outside of the box with these people can have like, be in the lawns and have friends, but then there's people at home that might not have that. So how do we engage them? How do we interact with them? So it's like, I had like a team lead meeting yesterday, and we're thinking about ways to kind of have all the people that are still living at home kind of having Zoom meetings and playing games with each other, and having that kind of simple connection of, hey, we're in the same kind of like bad experience, let's all kind of bond together. And I think like boiling it down, it's again redefining those rules and figuring out what game can we play with what we have set for us.
And also it's like you need to look at the trickle down effects too, because all right, the obvious one is people can't get into classes and have that experience, but as you go down, then you go, some of the biggest resources for underclassmen is upperclassmen. Now everything's digital. How do they even meet those upperclassmen?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Yeah. And like they get in touch with you, but you need to be a lot more active. Because the other thing for me, when I was a PL, it was very much, I would see people on campus and then I would check in with them there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or they would see me on campus and be like, "Oh, I totally didn't tell you about this thing. I had this question, blah 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 blah." That they were just holding in their back pocket until they saw someone, and just happened to take it out when they saw me or something,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Sometimes it'd be like even more spontaneous, where like you're going to eat food somewhere and you just see one of your kids there.
Exactly.
Grab a meal with them, just chat with them, and catch
you
up.
Just see
and
one
if
of
they
the
have anything to stress about, just talk about it.
Yeah, and you just hit them up, and it's like you can go eat in a common place, and it's not completely taking them out of their usual routine, right?
Yep.
And now it's definitely different.
It's a lot more intentional now with like whatever you do, and how you reach out to them and how you go about that. Like that has to be the main point, just making that connection rather than just hoping that you see them. Or sometimes that just happens by complete chance. Like that chance is almost gone completely.
Jayden, what do you feel like some other trickle down things? Because you're the only one actually in school still.
I think a big one is motivation. That's like a very internalized thing that I've been, at least me, has been really, really effective with. But I can see a lot of people, both upperclassmen and underclassmen, really, really affected by it. Just that fact that it's super easy to just kind of get in a routine of going to Zoom and like getting another link and, getting in a routine like that. And then just not having the kind of, not wherewithal, but just like wanting to do something afterwards, or like doing a side project because it's like you're so kind of in the same groove of, I don't really feel like doing something like that, or going above and beyond, like in classes or with a group that or club you're in. It's just you're in the same pit.
The one thing I definitely noticed in the 2 months that I was in school virtually is like I immediately started focusing more on everything but school. I was like working out during class, and I would just put my class on in the background while I cooked breakfast or worked on another personal project.
It's super easy to just like have it just disconnect, and it's like that is something that if you're in classes, it's just you don't do. Like, yeah, you can look at your phone real quick, but like you're in class, you're listening to the professor either actively or passively, because like, you know, you can just not want to be there, but at least you're kind of in the zone. Now it's just like, no, you can have a complete disconnect. You can put your headphones off, you can walk away, and you're essentially still in class.
So what are some of the things that you do to keep yourself centered on that kind of stuff?
So
classes while you have all of these other, because you do stuff outside of class. You have the PL stuff. You literally run a company. You're a founder of an organization on top of the whole school thing.
Yeah. I have on the floor right now, but a planner is super important. Just to like write things down, and even if it's so small, but also like breaking bigger chunks up into smaller pieces, because, you know, going back into like motivation, just checking things off sends like, you know, happy chemicals into your brain. Doing the little things.
I'm actually really interested in this because I'm interested in like what people's planners look like and what are the little details that they look at. Because for me, let me pull mine. I'm like obsessed with having this like weekly layout. Like having, like oh god. I'm obsessed with having this
video listeners.
Oh, you do the vertical. I'm obsessed with having this like horizontal and then the vertical.
Oh, I can't.
And then color coding. Color coding is like,
all of my classes are color coded. Everything is
calendar right there.
Yeah, everything is completely color coded. And again, like I just break things up into smaller things. My planner is also goal oriented. So every week I set up my new goals. Every month I have my own goals. And just like I track them off as well. So like we were talking about with trying to keep motivated and how I do it. Every single day before I go to bed, I spend 30 minutes just decompressing, and I call like indexing, and just being like, what happened today? Was it good? Was it bad? How can I go, like, what do I have to do tomorrow? How can I take what I did good and move it into tomorrow? What did I do bad today that I can fix for tomorrow?
Do you index on paper? Like, do you sit at like your desk with a notebook and like index that way?
Not really. It's very much just like internal. And it does take a lot of effort. It does like take a lot of knowing how you kind of operate as a person, and like being introspective about it and being kind of real about yourself and saying, look, you know, I could be doing better here. And I feel like, you know, sometimes you can get into a position where you're just kind of like self-deprecating yourself, or self-deprecating and just going lower and lower. But there's a kind of a threshold where you need to meet where it's just like, this is constructive criticism, like for yourself. And how do I attack something going forward?
I think it's like recognizing the 1% you can improve on. There was something literally in one of the books I was just read. It was talking about how if you make a 1% improvement every single day, at the end of the year, I'm not a math major, so I might get the number, but at the end of the year, you've improved 47%. It's either 47 or 37. I know it's something 7. Either way,
have I ever
1% every day, getting like having that much of a change at the end of the year from just doing little 1% changes every day is how all of the big things happen.
Yeah. Have I ever told both of you my vector philosophy?
I don't think so.
Don't think so.
I don't. I can't recall it.
So
let's hear this. Let's bring the value, baby.
So this is just like an outlook on life, and I told like Pujan, so my big and SIG app. I tell a lot of people this. So if you think of, we'll bring it back to Stephen's MA 123 series and vectors. So a vector, if you don't know,
that's one of the calculus things.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So,
bro, it's been years since I did that. 6 years, something like that.
Ooh, not good. So so if you break down like a 2D vector, you have an X and you have a Y value.
Yeah.
So way you look at it is you have your Y value, which is your day-to-day. So it is, did I have a good day? Did I have a bad day? Did something go well? Did I win the lottery. Did someone in my family die? And your X value is going negatively or positively towards a goal. And it can be as big as, curing cancer, or it can be as small as, submitting a group assignment on time. And I feel like a lot of people fall into always tracking and kind of having the weight of that y-axis always affect them. And having, hey, today was a really bad day. I just go into next day, I feel horrible again. Yeah. But what you have to really do is look at not the y, but the x, and make sure that, hey, I had a really bad day, but you know what? I put in a little bit of work towards this goal. Yeah. And maybe I did have a fantastic day, but if you're not going towards your goals, then was it really a good day? Yeah. So like, no matter the why, as long as you keep on pushing positively X and towards your goals, that's what like my philosophy in life is yeah. As long as, no matter like what you're feeling, how you're kind of going about life, as long as you're kind of striving towards those goals, you're benefiting yourself. You're going at it a right way.
Yeah, and that I hear a lot of that gratitude that so many people talk about. Yeah. Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, everybody. Yeah. That's a consistent through every person that I've seen that is immensely successful. It's this idea of having gratitude, even for the smallest things and the smallest wins, so that even like one of the things that we started doing in the project that me and Akash were working on, we're reading a book, right? And we sometimes it's hard to be like, all right, we need to read this book. Mm-hmm, and we just need to make sure that we're reading every day. Mm-hmm. Right? And literally it got to the point, we broke it down and I went, look, we just need to get forward every day. Mm-hmm. And one page is better than no pages. Mm-hmm. And if every day we read at least a page, then we get 7 pages done in a week. Right? So since then, we've literally said we need to just read a page a day. Open the book, read a page, and that's a win for the day. That's a win, and then we've tracked it. Maybe for the first week was the only week that we only read 7 pages.
Yeah. After that, it's been like 7 or more, at least.
Yeah. And it's this idea of being grateful for the small wins, being grateful for the little things that, push you forward, but also make up the rest of, because it's really easy to conflate. You were talking about the really big things that happen, right? It's really, really easy to inflate and deflate the really big things, make the really good things seem really super good and shadow all of the negative things that happen in the day, and have something that's really bad overshadow all of the good things that happen in the day, even though it's only one thing. So yeah, that's super important. One more thing that I want to hit on, talking about how you like stack goals. You have the weekly ones and you have the daily ones. You said you put your weekly ones on the whiteboard.
Yeah.
And then you'll put the daily ones on your planner.
So I've been very bad with like the weekly ones in the planner. Yeah. So I've been pushing it to the whiteboard because it's on my door. So I have to, whenever I like move out of the room, go out for lunch, go for breakfast, I have to look at it.
So how do you track the monthly ones?
So the monthly is in the planner, which is very much overarching, and they're not as like granular. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of like keep it in the back of your mind and be like, hey, I'm progressing towards this. It's more so just like making sure that all my assignments have been put in through Canvas, making sure that I'm like up to date and like keeping track of having a healthy, sleep schedule, healthy eating schedule, kind of overarching things rather than the granular of like, going to meet 2 brothers a week or going to play soccer, 2 days, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you plan on any more of a macro level? Like, do you have any like year goals?
Or like 5-year plan even?
Yeah.
Ooh, no. I struggle so much with like the macro. I struggle very much with going beyond like a month, really, even. Yeah. It's crazy. But I've just always been that way, where I've very much been like in my own little sphere of a month, And I feel like I've always had stuff in my life that's always just like changed and progressed and, kind of been thrown out. And they've always been in like these like month to month and a half chunks of
Yeah.
time where I've just ended up being like, just go for a month now. Let's see how it goes because eventually something will just completely change.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like, as much as I would love to have like this overarching year plan sort of stuff, there's not like a whole lot. I know the only real thing that I have that I only kind of progressed this summer was I decided that I'm going to be going out and trying to get a PhD.
Yeah.
And
That's
like,
a long-term one.
Yeah.
That's a good
and
one.
like that's the only long-term thing that I like have. And it's just, hey, look, after my bachelor's, I'm going to try to apply for a doctorate program
Mm-hmm.
because I finally figured out that's the direction I want to go with my life.
Word.
That's awesome.
Um,
Akash, what's your...
Dr.
I'm actually
Pereira, that just
really,
sounds nice.
really super... I'm super interested in this topic because
Yeah.
it's something that I've been thinking about a little bit more too. Akash, what's your like philosophy on thinking long term? Like how far do
Mm.
you look into the future? How do you track that? Is it even a thing that you like, do you not think about it like Jayden doesn't?
Maybe not to the same extent. Like I'll still think about maybe 1 year out or maybe even 2 years out, right? Like right now, like the max I'll probably think about is end of college. Like that's
Yeah.
a good chunk for me because I'm on co-op, so I still have, 3 more years left. Just
Yeah.
weird to say still. So for me, that's my macro. I'm not worrying about beyond that because I think about the past 3 years,
Yeah.
and I think about how much has changed in the past 3 years. So I feel like it wouldn't be that worth it to spend the mental energy worrying about 3 years in the future, if I know that so much can change between then and now. I'd rather just
Yeah.
focus on more micro time scales of 1 week out, 1 month out, the most maybe 1 year out, and
Yeah.
finer details. But then beyond that, just almost play it by ear up until you get to that point in time. Then you could start planning forward from that. But it's not like,
Yeah.
oh, like I have a detailed 5 year plan right now.
Yeah. I
What about you?
Me, I've been going. This is one of those things that I've been. Oh shit! I just hit the shit out of my desk. This is one of those things that I've been re-evaluating a lot lately, because I have a very huge tendency to romanticize like 10 years into the future, especially with the things like I'm working on now.
Yeah.
Like I will jump to that so fast. Like I love creating this vision of how big something can be, or where I could be like 5, 10 years from now, right? Um, the other side of that, though, is I've realized quite a few times that I've done that and not. It wasn't set in how I was actually living, like actually how I was looking to live my day to day. Right? So it was like I would be super interested in what was going on, like in a project that I was working on, super interested in being in an organization or really hyped about my involvement in something, and make this overweight how important it was going to be in my future. And then come back to now, it's just that wasn't something that I actually wanted to spend 10 hours of my day on, 20 hours of my day on. Like, that was a really big one. And it's been coming to terms with that and looking at, maybe I need to start from the short term and build up from there. Rather, like, start with a year and then build down from a year, build down from a 3 month, and then build up from there. Look at how I want to spend my day to day. One of the best things I did was at the beginning of the year, I was doing this thing where I would write the five things at the end of the day that made me happy. Kind of on that gratitude thing that we were talking about earlier. That gratitude wave. And I would write 5 things that made me happy throughout the day or accomplishments that I had. And I started taking, what's it called? when you take how many numbers of a thing are in this
Metric?
thing. A what?
A metric?
No, no, no. When like you have like 10 rolls of paper towels in the store. Inventory.
Oh,
There
I
we
was
go.
like, where's he going with this?
Paper towels, I don't know.
I was like, per capita? Like, I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
that took me a second. So inventory. I would take inventory what was making me happy on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
What was making me happy on a day-to-day basis, what I enjoyed doing, and I started realizing that there were some things that I was doing that just weren't making me happy. Like the same kinds of things would end up on my page on a day-to-day basis. Like talking to friends, hanging out. If I did something with friends during the day, that would almost always make the list. If I did something with music, that would almost always make the list. And there were a lot of things that weren't making the list that were, for me, were kind of weird. Like fraternity events weren't making the list. Like fraternity and like Greek life stuff wasn't making the list, even though I was working in the office and president of the CGC and on the executive board of my own organization. That wasn't making the list on a day-to-day basis for me. Like it just wasn't one of those things that made me happy. If we had like a big goal that I'd been working towards, it would make the list. But a lot of that just wasn't cutting it. It wasn't one of those top 5 things. Like it would make me happy, but it wasn't one of those top 5 at the end of the day. And I started looking at consistently what were those top 5 and like taking the things that weren't part of it and spending less time there and spending more time on the things that I loved, on music, on spending time with friends, on, you know, building myself out, working out and, you know, being healthy, eating better, stuff like that. Was once I started doing more of that, I found myself, it's just this ramp of being satisfied with myself.
I've been feeling that too with the eating healthy and trying to be more fit and making that a higher priority in my list too.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, so I did what you kind of did last week on Monday. I don't know if you remember that. I woke up at like 6:30. I don't even know what happened between 6:30 and the time my mom came in and was like, "Wake up!" And I was like, "What? Like, what time is it?" And she's like, 7:30. I'm like, "No, I can't work out anymore because I have work at 9. Like, I need to." There's like other things that I want to get done in the morning too, and that feeling that I couldn't do that one thing in the morning that I started to do every single day, it was just like, damn, like that one thing on my list is just not gonna be able to get done today, and like it almost bothered me a lot. And it made me realize that okay, I had to get these like 4 or 5 things on that list done, just so that when I go to sleep that day, I'm going to sleep like satisfied with that day and everything.
There was a long time, like I don't know if this has happened to y'all at all. There was a period of time where I was writing things on the daily list and not getting them done.
Mm-hmm.
And if I did that for more than a couple of days in a week, the week would feel like a loss. And I started building this weight on from trying to do too much and not actually meeting that expectation.
Yeah, that's like definitely a thing that I have because like I do sometimes way too much, and I have like a lot of burdens on my shoulders where I got into a big rhythm, especially through the summer, where I would set these kind of weekly goals and realistically they just were not fitting in my whole life. And like, yeah, maybe I could have done them, but like they weren't going to work. And I needed to start off lower. I needed to make my expectations lower. And it really weighed on me. And it just like kind of self perpetuated and went in a circle of, you know, I felt bad because I couldn't do my goals. I couldn't meet them. So I'd set goals and then I would end up not meeting them. And I would just get frustrated. And that's just like
you're falling behind, so you set more ambitious goals. Cause like, I need to catch up. I need to read 100 pages today because I didn't read my 20 pages for the last 2 days.
Exactly.
It's like, that's not how it works.
Yeah, it's like, it's definitely crazy because I know for Truthable, for my company, a big thing this summer was developing an entire new service aside from the app. And it was really hard to just make sure that you have these kind of goals for making something insanely new that I've never done before, while also trying to build back up into a 1.1 of something that I've been working on for a lot longer. And it's the kind of like dual development periods that was just very difficult because you have these goals over here and then you're targeting over there and you're not meeting any of them. And it's just kind of self-perpetuating. Just, what am I doing? I need to be better. And I don't know why I can't be better.
Yeah, man. And it's just this kind of like self-shame that just like builds up the more that you try to set higher expectations for yourself. And you just need to, for me, I just need to turn it down. I was like, you know, I'm gonna spend a week. I'm not gonna use my planner. I'm not gonna write down goals. Like, it's just gonna be a week. I'm gonna do what I feel like. I'm gonna do as much work as I enjoy and that, you know, I feel like is moving me forward. And at the end of the week, I'll see what I got done. For each day, I'll see what, you know, how I spent my time, what the allocation of my time was like when I felt good. Like, I have a week that just felt good, and what did that look like on paper? And then try and mimic that as I go forward. Like, now, because of that, I started looking at how many spaces each item was taking up on the daily list, right? How many things I could put on that daily list. You know, writing bigger, using more lines, bullet lists, dumbing it down to 3 main things that are the only things that I write on my entire planner.
Yeah, like that weekly indexing that you were doing is like what I do every single day, because like I need, from everything that I'm kind of processing in my brain every day, is like I need that, because I have to adjust. I have to constantly readjust what I'm doing, where I'm going. You know, just recently I like just had to deal with an audit from Stevens with some weird stuff with iSTEM program, and then Truthable was involved, and then now I'm having to deal with, I'm trying to see if we can maybe get like a incubator attached to like what the Launchpad program is. So I'm heading that whole idea.
Yeah.
And it's just like all these kind of crazy things that you really just need to decompress, to not have that weight on your shoulders, and just be like, how do we manage? How do we go forward? And kind of go at it, you know, just approach it in the right way, rather than it always just getting on your shoulders and crushing you down even more.
And on that point, for me, I feel like it's really important to, when you take that daily inventory and you go, hey, I didn't finish everything today, look at why you didn't finish it and be like, all right, this is a lesson that I'm learning now on how I can accurately plan future days.
Yeah. And I have like another thing where it's like, I believe failure is necessary to a point.
Yeah, it is. That's just a fact. That's just
like,
that's a fact. If you don't agree, go read a book.
Yeah, like honestly, I definitely have just grown, and if I think there's like, if I go back to like Legend of Korra season 1 episode, like the last episode of season 1, Aang comes out. Your lowest point is like your greatest amount of change. And like that just shows
I got goosebumps when you said that. I love
and like that's it all. Is you're just like, if you fail at something, that is your one time where you can sit back and just be like, what happened? And systematically approach yourself so that it will never happen again. And also you can learn to be better in the future as well.
I really like to look at failure like, a failure is only a failure if you stop at the end of it.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
You put that in
Everything
quotes.
depends on where you stop.
Yeah.
How great something is, how wonderful the journey is.
And like we analyzing like how other startups have progressed. I've taken in like, you know, we have like a metric of determining how good ideas are. And then we have a metric of determining how good the execution was. And the ideas will only get you so far. But you put in like that much more execution, even if it's to a worse idea, you're going to get that much more value in whatever you're doing in. And like that speaks volumes, because it's like, if you don't put in that effort, if you aren't stagnant, if you're not just like sitting there being, I don't want to do it, I'm just you know, you're gonna hurt yourself rather than just do it. Just put in the effort, be passionate about something if you actually are, because that effort will always be more than whatever kind of ideas are behind that effort.
And on that, I want to like if you're listening to this, look at what makes you happy and do that. Like it's that simple.
Like literally 2 years ago, I walked into Stevens wanting to do hardware. I was a computer engineer for hardware. I took one class for programming, and it's completely changed my life. I found what I love to do, and now I'm just grateful because I'm in a position that I go in to work every day doing what I'm passionate about, trying to change the world and how we perceive it. And that just, no matter what kind of money, if Truthable is worth $10 million or $100, that is my value. Is like, I go in every day trying to change the world, being happy about what stuff I create.
Yeah. Right. So I want to move on a little bit because this podcast is obviously called Where's the Time Gone? I have a little bit of an obsession on how people spend their time. I'm going to start here. What does the first hour of your day look like? And when does it start?
I've been pretty bad this whole kind of semester. I've been trying to wake up a lot earlier, but I do wake up around like 8 o'clock. And really, it's just a time to just decompress. To
clarify, 8 a.m., right?
8 a.m., yeah.
I'll make sure.
8 a.m. EST. So, it's just a time for really decompressing. I go downstairs, got to find something to eat, and then coming back up, and then, again, straight to the planner, seeing what kind of stuff I need to be doing. And then usually every single day I have a breakdown almost hourly of what I'm actually going to be doing. So then it's just off to the races of going into what I need to do.
At that point.
Yeah. Again, it's just going into execution mode.
So do you cook?
I don't cook now, but I used to always cook when I was at my apartment, when I was in Hoboken.
Yeah.
I'm now at my parents' house, so I have a little bit more privilege and being able to get fed.
Yeah.
That's me with dinner, so I understand.
On that first hour, so you wake up, you go downstairs. Are you like done in 10 minutes, then you're back up planning for like 30 minutes?
It really depends, because like usually a lot of it is like sometimes just decompressing with like a YouTube video, and then that can like trail on because whatever. I may be watching, like, I've been in Doug DeMuro for a while lately now, and just like random stuff. But
what is that?
Oh, he does like car reviews. I don't know why I'm like so asphyxiated towards that. I love car reviews. But
great.
No, like sometimes it all changes. I'm very dynamic with the hours that I do, and that's like, again, a little bit more in order so that I'm not falling into the same trap of doing stuff every single day.
Yeah.
In the same way, like I have like for instance, like today I lifted in the morning. Tomorrow I'm not lifting in the morning. I'll lift tonight or lift in the night time. And it's just like different kind of ways in order to kind of build your whole body up so that you're always kind of not on alert per se, but just you're always kind of doing something different. And like that, I think that for the mind is a lot better because you're not just like clock in, clock out.
Mm-hmm. For me, it's been the opposite.
I'm like in the middle of you two.
For me, it's very much like wake up, do the same first 3 hours every time. Although YouTube is also a big part of me. I've been doing a lot of like podcasts and comedy videos. That's been my rabbit hole that I've been going down lately. Laughs are always good. And I will literally every morning for me is the same exact thing pretty much. Wake up, brush my teeth, go downstairs, go outside, get my bike. Before I go outside, I grab my wireless headphones, put on the audiobook that I'm listening to at the time, take my bike, take it for a 3-mile ride, get back, take a quick 10-minute shower, get downstairs, meditate, and then cook breakfast.
Yeah, I can't do that. I can't be that
It's
that
okay.
way.
That's self-awareness, you know?
Yeah, and I was actually talking with Sophie about this yesterday. It's like, for me, I feel like, because I'm in music and creative stuff, and my everything else is so...
Yeah.
like, there's so much randomness and different things in everything else in what I'm trying to do, that having the security in everything, in the little things, like my morning routine, when I'm eating or when I'm working, is the part that keeps me sane almost.
Wait, that's interesting, because I have a little question then. If you have everything structured then, so is the time that you're like really creative only when you're like actually focused on a task, or is there like a differentiation between like an active creativity or a passive creativity? Because
this
like
is kind of a precursor to your question. Is my literally there's maybe only about 4 hours of my day that are legitimately structured.
okay.
So it's that first, actually 5, because it's the first like 2 to 3 hours are always pretty much the same thing. I broke the rule a couple times because my sister had to run a couple errands this week in the morning because she's moving into school this week. So if it changes, it changes, but it's pretty much the same thing, and it just changes a little bit to fit what I'm doing. For example, I did everything through eating, then we left, and then I came back, and then I did my daily like startup, right? Like watching the video, doing the list, and all of that. So usually it's the first 3 hours is the first 3 hours. Then at 5 o'clock, I eat. Like I cook dinner. And then between like lately it's been like 7, 8. So between 10 a.m. and 5 is just about different every day. Like it's just whatever happens. It's just like a hand toss.
Yeah.
Like having those for me, having that 5 hours, that's very like set, allows me to be okay with having the rest of the time that's completely whatever. Like yesterday I spent pretty much the entire day filing paperwork. Today I worked on music, listened to a couple of things, and did new music finds. The day before was doing a lot of research, and also having meetings. Like I just had a lot more meetings on Tuesday, right? And then Monday was music for most of the day. And then pretty much everything else is just very what's that amoebus did that blob cell thing? That's like
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
See, I asked that because I get a lot of my, like, I break it up into active and passive creativity, and the fact that, like, if I'm tasked with a goal, or say I'm like coding a different structure within a system, that is my active duty to be creative, to figure out how to actually
you need to make something from nothing.
Yeah.
Whereas like when I'm, just riding my bike or running or lifting or whatever I'm doing, like classwork or something, and I spark an idea, even if it's not necessarily with the idea, that's that passive thing. And I've always felt that those kind of passive clicks are more powerful than those active things. Because like, I think I was talking to Akash where it was like, I came up with like a random idea of a podcast where I would like break down like all of the things that I love, and however random that they are, and just like talk about them.
How many times I've texted him the exact moment after I finished meditating and go, hey, we could do this, and I'll send him 7 texts in a row where he'll have to scroll to get all of the details, and he won't see it until 12 because he works.
Yeah. And then it's just like I was talking to Akash before this, like the recording started, where it's just like I randomly started to do.
I literally did that today.
Yeah. Like literally, maybe like an hour before the meeting, or before this call right now.
Like literally, I just sent like 6 tests in a row, being like, "Hey, I have this idea. We can do this, this, and this. I can't stop thinking about this thing that was said the other day."
And I was just in the meeting, so I was like, "Okay." I saw it in the corner of my eye. I'm like, "Okay, I know what happened."
Yeah.
I know Julian just had that moment. because he always starts it off the same way. He's like, "Hey, hey," or you know, something like that with like all caps.
And then it'll be something like, "Bro,
yeah,
check this out."
Because I've had like my
mic in the red.
Yeah, like my algorithms that I've designed. My algorithms that I've like designed have always been like the best ones. We're just like casually like watching TV or playing guitar or something random, and then just fires. And I'm like, all the synapses are in my brain are just like, oh my god. And then I like write it down on a board and okay, yeah, you refine it, but it's just like that's where it is.
My thing is, I've realized I've really needed to make time to let my mind be empty. Because I used to have this problem of trying to fill up all of the empty time because my mind would get angsty, so I'd fill it up watching cartoons or playing Warzone because I wanted to fill the time with something and do something. Like, I didn't take actual breaks. Like, I don't know if either of you have done this, but I wouldn't take naps. I wouldn't just... If I felt kind of tired, I'd be like, oh, I feel kind of tired. I don't really want to work on something right now. I'll just go play Warzone, or I'll just go watch a TV show. And for me, once I stopped doing that and just let myself do nothing,
literally,
you actually feel rested on the other side of it. And for me, that's made a huge difference of being able to come up with ideas and stuff.
Sometimes in this chair, I'll randomly it's incredibly random. I'll just sit, like I'll both be on the ground, you know, knees 90 degrees, make sure like nothing's tense or anything, and I'll like fold my arms or like I'll just like do this, right, for some reason. I'll just sit there for like 10-20 minutes. If someone opens the door, I'm not giving them any attention at all because I'm just so in that mode. But like as soon as that's over, I open the door and I'm just like, I feel like I just went to sleep and woke up after like an 8-hour rest.
See, I just like lay down on the floor like a weirdo.
That's honestly, I'm like close to that point at this point.
Dude, especially on tile floor where you get the nice cool. It's so nice.
I'm the opposite of both of you, where I take in a lot of things, and it's just whenever my brain works, I'm best when I'm inhaling a bunch of different things so that I can kind of draw inspiration from like literally everywhere. And I think like that was a big part of like why I think that like I've done since February a monthly playlist on Spotify of like finding every kind of song and weird stuff and new releases and old stuff and whatever, just all the like greatest of my new songs that I found for the month. I put on a playlist, and that like kind of is like the duality of my brain where I'm always grabbing this kind of all these new senses and feelings and all that in order to actually create something. And I'll look at the playlist at the end of the month and be like, wow, this kind of has an overarching feeling. This has like its own kind of topic, its own set of rules that it played against.
So it's almost like a subconscious thing where it's just like your emotion throughout the month just kind of dictates the music that you pick.
It's like a musical journey.
You kind of see the trend at the end of it.
And so cool. And it's cool because then you see that there, but then it translates to like for me, like I design also the cover art, the cover album for all of them. So it's like going in and say like Dribble of like going through all of the kind of different, you know, genres or graphic design kind of techniques. I'd go in and that draws a lot of inspiration and it fires and I create something that's new and different. And I would have never created it if it wasn't for, even if it's not related, but like looked at stuff or drew inspiration from somewhere else.
I think it's so important to have something that you do on a daily basis that's creative and that you can see the trend of.
Yeah.
Whether it's talking on camera and like having like a vlog kind of thing or writing a journal. For me, I gravitate towards talking things out. During quarantine, I haven't done it for like actually a couple weeks, but I've been taking basically vlogs, like not even vlogs, like a video journal, where I'll literally just talk into my camera. Like I have, like they don't even get posted anywhere. They're just literally like a video journal in my phone. And for me, I get to talk about so much, and sometimes I word vomit. I don't let myself pause. I just keep word vomiting, and sometimes things will come out. I was like, oh, I didn't catch that in my conscious mind. I didn't catch that I was actually upset about that, or I didn't catch how actually really cool that thing was that was just like a little side thing that happened that I acknowledged for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I'm a little bit more introverted than you, just like a tad bit. Like, I use Microsoft OneNote for that same type of purpose.
The plus one.
Of just...
Yeah, there we go.
It's also kind of random, though. It's not really consistent whenever I feel the need to it or want to do it.
Yeah.
I'll just open up a OneNote. I've been doing this for years, actually.
I realized I really do it in waves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll do it for, like, 3 weeks straight.
Okay, no, I don't...
Or, like, 2 weeks straight.
Or like 1 week straight.
Yeah, or like 1 week straight, and then I'll take a couple weeks off.
Mm-hmm.
Like the video journals I was doing for like, I did it 2 weeks, like every single day, and then I did it a couple like every other day, and then I just didn't do one for like the last 3 weeks.
Again, that's where like, I think that just like, even if you do the journal in a different time period, or you try to like find something creative that spices it up, then like that's where I have that same mentality where I've been doing things, and like that's why I think that this whole Spotify thing is just like kind of incredible, because like other than Truthable and stuff, the longevity that I've had on one set project is like insane.
I think the other thing for me is it's important to have a home base of things that you just do.
Yep.
Right, that aren't connected to your job or your projects or anything. Like for me, it's new music finds. Like I do new music finds every single week. I do that. Every week I go through all of the new music that gets released on Friday, look at new releases in the actual New Music Finds, New Music Friday playlist on Spotify, all of the releases that are on the front page, all of the releases that come in my Discover Weekly playlist, all of the artists that I follow that might have released music. Especially if I hear someone release something, because I follow so many artists, when I hear somebody's releasing something, I make a note to make sure that I listen to it on that Friday. And that, for me, is like, even if it comes a little late, like today, I did it today, on Thursday. I usually do it on Monday. But it's like something that's consistent. Like, I always do it. It's a home base that I can come to this is something I do.
Yeah. Like, I definitely have that with, like, graphic design, because that's something that I picked up in high school. And that and, like, soccer. But, like, that's a whole different kind of physical thing. But graphic design is always something simple that it's just, like, just playing around, either on pen or with pen and pencil, or online in Photoshop or in Illustrator. It's just something to like write random stuff, draw random stuff, to like disconnect, and like you said, home base to just have.
Yeah. Anyway, I will be right back. Y'all can keep talking, but I gotta go find my nail clipper. I have a thing that's hanging off.
Oh, you can explain that when you get back.
Huh?
You could give like a quick 30-second reason of like, or explanation of that.
Oh yeah, I can talk about that, I guess. Yeah, so I'll be right back. I'll keep talking.
Alright. I feel like I do that with the way I do certain photography things. So of course I'll do main photo shoots and things like that with people whenever they ask, or I'll try to make time for it. But then sometimes recently what I've been doing is, if I think of some sort of creative vision that I have, or something that I can literally just imagine, I'll try to recreate that either in my room, or just mostly it's been in my room, and like I just try to use props and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like last weekend I was like, okay, one of the things that was on my mind was, okay, I'm a photographer, right? How are my social media profile pictures so just not on par with the actual posts? Like, I know I can do better, so I'm going to do better. And then I went out that night with family, and when I came back, I was like, okay, I'm all dressed up. Well, not dressed up, but you know, I'm not like wearing sweats and just a t-shirt. It's like an actual thought out outfit. And I got the camera, got this ring light that I have, set up the laptop on my bed so that I can do self-timers and things like that. And I probably took like over 100 photos, or maybe I'm exaggerating a little. But I don't know, sometimes the pictures add up. And I was just like, okay, I had this vision in my head, I want to just have a good profile picture. I did that as just like a release of, you know, creativity. And I look back on them like almost 3 days later, because I just wanted to take those photos and just get it out of my system. And when I look back at them, dude, I was just like, how you were talking about having those small creative moments first and then expanding on them later on, and just having those passive moments become active. That's basically what happened. It was such a small thing to me in the moment, and then now, and especially yesterday, as I was editing through them, I was like, these are some of the best pictures I probably have taken of myself up to this date, anyways.
Yeah, I think it's just like really cool. It's just going upon raw, like just passion and raw like creativity, and like when you refine it, when you like actually go against it, because there's so many ideas that I've always had where they just never come to fruition. And again, it ties back to the whole execution thing, where all you have to do is actually just get into it and do it, because like that becomes some of your best work. Like I know in like 2016, I went to Portugal and for like a family trip and all that. I was like, okay, I'm going to vlog this stuff. And when you look back at the work that was like done 4 years ago, and now I edited it to like a 2 hour, 2.5 hour long movie. You look back at it and just like, this was incredible. Like I suffered through it. There were like days, there was like a day that I just did not want to film. The backpack was really heavy. The stuff was really heavy. But then you look back at it and just like, wow, this was like really, really incredible. And it just came from like one little idea and just a whole lot of execution. But it's just like some of the best work that I've ever done with like photography / videography.
Julian, we're talking about how like I think you know.
Yeah, I'm just gonna jump in on like what I heard.
Okay, go for it.
Off of like the daily vlogging thing is, and this is probably going to be unrelated to the actual core of the conversation that you were having. My friend DeJuan had a conversation a while back about how us as media. He's a graphic designer. He went to school for visual art and technology at Stevens. He and I had a conversation about how our goal essentially is to be in the public eye and have a brand as a creative, right? And what that means is like actually putting yourself out there and creating all of this content, right? And having this wherewithal to not be afraid of putting yourself out there, of recording yourself, and like being okay with doing that every day. And for me, it's not a natural tendency. Like, I don't know what it was about, like for you, Jayden, but for me, it's not a natural tendency to consistently sit in front of a camera and talk about things that happen on a daily basis. Make sure that I'm doing Instagram stories during the day, doing check-ins with people. I just didn't grow up in that kind of culture.
Yeah.
So it's been one, learning how to do that, but also when you do that, you get this. You not only show yourself to show other people how you grow, you also have a very easy way to look back at the growth that you've had.
That's true.
And for me, it's just I love being able to look back at the growth that I've had, not even in just the conversation, like how I'm talking, but also even in just how the content's being put together. It's like a little bit of physical proof that over time progress compounds, right? And getting comfortable talking consistently. Part of the reason why I do the video journal is because that wasn't natural for me, because I wanted to get better at it, because I wanted to be able to talk on camera or talk on a podcast like this with y'all and be able to put it out and be confident about it. And making it part of the routine that I was doing on a daily basis. Because I could write, but then that would just let me feed into me being quiet, which isn't what I want to be, right? If you enjoy being quieter, you enjoy like focusing on writing, that's fine. But that wasn't the goal that I had for myself. So I needed to do the little things to work towards the different goal that I had, rather than where I was.
I'm so glad I used to make YouTube videos back in the day, because I say back in the day, this is like a year and a half ago.
But you're talking about freaking middle school.
No. So like, I think through doing that, I've become a lot more comfortable just talking in a recorded setting, whether it's through something like this or
Yeah.
This is like the combination, having the audio and the video being recorded. Like, it's almost like no tension at all. Like, I'll of course get nervous here and there, but from that day one when I first did it to now, it's just a game changer. Like, I can stare into the camera and not really feel anything anymore.
I think it's a little different even now, because now it's like we're on this Zoom call.
Yeah.
We're not with people. We're not around people. When you're around people, it's a very different type of energy to get on camera and record. Whether that's you're in the studio recording on the podcast, and that's you all literally just came to record that thing, or you're in public and then you need to be okay with yourself pulling out a camera in a place where literally nobody else has out a camera.
That dude,
literally nobody else is sitting there making faces or talking to this black square. Or this big giant circle, probably. Right? And you just need to be like, it doesn't matter. Fuck everybody else. That shit ain't me.
That's what I literally had to say in my head, just to rationalize it for myself and to get more comfortable with it.
Especially at a place like Stevens, where everybody's so like, no, I just want to put my head down and I want to do my calculus homework.
A cool thing actually happened where people would come up to me and like actually ask me about it. Like, oh, what are you recording for? Is this going to be uploaded somewhere? It was actually a weird conversation.
You build this thing up of what's going to happen in your head, and it never fucking happens.
No.
And the funny thing is that when I was doing wanted to be recorded.
Especially when I started like the rest of my life thing on my Instagram, I would just pass people and they'd be like, "Yo, I saw your video this week. That's like super cool. I love what you're doing." Like it really. And the best part was when people would come up to me and was like, "Hey, you talked about the journal thing that you do every day. That really helped me because I've been thinking about doing a journal in the same way, and I've been wondering like what I could do to, try and be a little bit more grateful or like kind of get out of this funk I've been in." And I started doing the thing that you were talking about that helped you, and it helped me.
That feeling is probably like nothing can beat that, where you're helping someone directly and your content influences them in a positive way like that.
Yeah. Whenever somebody goes, what you did helped me, especially when it's like the one thing that you're like, you shouldn't do this. Especially those. When you're talking about the thing that you're like, maybe I shouldn't talk about this. Maybe this is sharing a little bit too much. No one's going to care about if I talk about, the journal that I did or, me being really sad this week.
Yeah, I think, like, I guess I'll do it, but, like, I'm really open about, like, my whole mom situation with, her battling cancer. And, like, being open about that has allowed me to have a lot of those feelings with others where they open up because I'm so used to opening up. And like, that's such an incredible feeling because like I've been dealing with my whole life. Like I know how to deal with that kind of emotions. And some people just may have that a little bit deeper in their selves. And the fact that like I can be the person that allows them to think about it more, be more positive about it, certain situations of like dealing with cancer with family members, like that just makes me so happy because ultimately that's what I want. You got to be positive about situations, especially like cancer and all that stuff. So like that's with you, or like that feels the best when you can like, when someone comes up to you and be like, you've helped me so much dealing with a certain situation.
And it's weird because it's almost a dichotomy. Is the only way to be inspirational is to be vulnerable.
Yep.
Yep.
And like even dealing with a story is not up. It is ups and downs, and it's all about, the story is only as good as how like low your hero has gone from.
Yeah.
So it's like that
range. You need the range.
Yeah. And like that's really important, is just having vulnerability. I know like that's something that I've been really like trying to get into, and SIG app has allowed me to do a lot more. And and that's something that I've always had in my entire life, especially through high school, where I just like shut that off and was not vulnerable. And like through college, that's just been a huge thing where I've been a lot more vulnerable, and it's helped not only like me out 100% or like 100-fold, but it's allowed me to also help others, and that's helped me even more. So it's like it only helps.
Yeah, and I think for me another big thing has been I've been kicking myself because I haven't been doing so many YouTube videos and not YouTube, Instagram videos and actually talking on camera and stuff lately. I haven't been doing it as much. And I've been kind of kicking myself. It's like, you started this so you could share every day, so you can show them the full ups and downs. And when you take out that white space, it loses power.
Yeah.
You need the full story there.
Because it's almost like it's cool that, yeah, we're seeing, everything every single day, this kind of one-upsmanship of it's going better, it's getting better, it's getting better. But there's reality where, ultimately you're more powerful if you can show that you're just a regular person that still has things going on. Like, I know that like a lot of vlog channels, a lot of like reality TV especially, has where it's like you're only seeing that upward trajectory and you're missing all of this raw emotion that is really impactful about the day-to-day life that we actually live.
Yeah. For me, I've learned a lot of like, if you don't want to talk about something, it's probably the thing you should talk about.
Yeah.
Because not only is it probably the thing that you need to talk about.
Yeah.
For you, but it is probably the thing that will also be most useful for other people.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff, man. All right, so shooting all the way back to the schedule.
Gonna go full circle.
Yeah, going back to time. Like, where's the time gone? What's the macro of your day look like? Like, we talked about like that first morning and getting it started, but like, what's like the macro kind of look for your day? Do you break it into blocks? Like, what would the blocks be if you broke it up?
Yeah, so a lot of it is broken down into blocks. So obviously, like, everything is kind of arranged around my actual class schedule. But like either in between or afterwards, like I'm really good where after like 2 o'clock every day, it's just free time essentially.
Okay.
And like
to clarify,
usually I break
p.m., right?
2 p.m. EST.
Cool. You never know with these college students.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
But yeah, I really like either 30 or like 45 or sometimes an hour based off like the workload. I'll then allocate time for classes. And that's even if like the assignment is like, say 20 minutes long and I have like 40 minutes for allocated for it, it allows me to like then go a little bit above and beyond and like work on studying a little bit more or finding something else in that subject. And then I usually kind of cap the day off with a lot of coding, and just you kind of have to shift your brain from school into like actual work, because I'm a full-time student and a full-time employee. So it's like a bit of both. I sleep at really bad hours, and that's why like I wake up at like 8 a.m. is like EST is not like a super early or super late time, but like when I was like at school, always like before Truthable got a lot of traction, I was waking up at like 6 a.m.
So what's the sleep time look like?
I'm pushing it back a lot more. It's usually around like 1 o'clock, like 1 a.m.
So you're
and
consistent like 7 hours.
Yeah, like I know that if I don't get like 7 hours consistently, or like, of course I can do like a 3 a.m. and then sometimes I'll do like, I'm really tired, I'll do like a 12 o'clock or, like 11:30. But as long as you're kind of getting that sleep that you need, it will progress yourself. Like you need that, or else you cannot be actually executing on the things that you need to execute on.
Yeah, I think it was Jeff Bezos had a conversation at one point. It was like, not getting 8 hours of sleep is the stupidest thing I could do.
Yeah.
And that's Jeff Bezos.
Yeah. If he can do it.
Yeah. And like, that's why, I do things and I block things out. And ultimately the only like hard stuff is, hey, you need to index and you need to go to sleep. Because you'll wake up, the body will wake up when it needs to wake up. Like again, so like today I woke up at 7 o'clock. Again, usually waking up at 8, but today was 7. So I was just like, okay, I'm ready. I'm good to go. And it's just allowing yourself to actually be, going through your day and getting through and executing on the things that you need to do.
Your work blocks, how long are they usually? Like, how much time will you block out to like work in a adjacent amount of time?
So for school, I usually only keep it like an hour. For coding, I like to keep them a lot longer. I know like weekends, I spend like some weekends I usually put like a 6 hour straight block.
Oh,
Yeah.
And like it's just a time where there's obviously sections of like I'm in between functions or in between classes or certain subsystems where I can just take a break. But of course, like when you're into it, I think that it's just more beneficial to just go through and make sure you're fulfilling your work because your headspace is there. And then when you have a time that you can step away, hey, let's step away now. And say like, I'm not a huge fan of doing overtime and like that kind of stuff because I think that's detrimental at the end of the day. But just fulfilling your work and being able to step away from it and say you have like 30 or 40 minutes, like I've done like 5 hours, say I block out 6 hours, I've done 5 hours of coding and I've successfully done a lot of stuff today. And I look at it like I have an hour left, but I've done so much that I can relax a little bit more. Yeah. I've done what I need to do because if I get into something else, it's not going to be just an hour. It's going to be longer.
I'm very much of the headspace. Like I need anything major that I do 2 hours at minimum because I know a 20 minutes off the top is going straight to getting into the zone, getting into that semi-flow state. Kind of like, all right, this is what I'm thinking about now. My brain has understood it is on the train tracks and it is chugging along.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like all the Zoom calls that me and Julian have, first 10 minutes automatically, we dedicated just us just talking about things that are on our mind or things that are bothering us, things that we enjoyed doing that day or something that came up, like anything.
Yeah.
Just like smooth into that transition of doing what we actually want to do.
Using the reading as an example, for me, that's kind of why it's hard to read just one page. Because I need, literally before I start reading, I need to do this thing where it's like, all right, I'm reading now. Read. But my brain won't, like especially if I don't take 2 minutes before I start reading, my brain doesn't actually register everything that I read. My brain needs to like get the lawnmower going, just get it chugging along, and once it starts consistent, then everything that I'm reading, it's like my brain is in that in that state of mind.
Yeah, like I'm different. Like I can quickly get into things. It's just when I then deviate and start going into like merging tasks is when it can be a little bit scary. But I'm pretty like adept at being volatile and switching from things.
For me, it's like it's really easy for me to go down like a rabbit hole. Like so many times I will maybe I go on Instagram to like post one thing and I'll just end up down a rabbit hole of researching something that I noticed while I was on there, right? So for most of the blocks that I set time for, I create like this little frame of this is everything and the only thing that you're doing right now. Like if I go to music, every other program closed. My phone only comes out if I'm doing music app stuff. I don't check messages. It's on Do Not Disturb. The lights go off and it's literally like it's pretty much the same light that I have now. It's like studio lighting. Like everything is this box made for you to only focus on this. And I need to do that in order to make sure that I'm actually giving 100% to the thing that I'm working on. Long time I was in denial of that.
Because that's also interesting is like the way that my life is set up and the facts that like I have so much in like the things that I need to do, there's often times where I need to be very flexible. So that's kind of interesting that you like have to only get into a certain zone, because like I feel in my life that would just not work, because
Yeah.
there is like right before this, I had to be flexible in the fact that I pushed my office hours for being a TA a little bit differently so that I could do this and work
Yeah.
around and do and change all these kind of crazy things. And if I wasn't able to be dynamic, able to be volatile and just switch around and still be in a good mind space for it all,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be as successful, or I wouldn't be as optimized as doing my tasks as like I am now.
For me, it's the complete opposite. I needed to dumb
Interesting.
down to like the core of everything and each thing that I do. This is specifically why for me, I have three focuses of my entire life. There's three. There's art, and there's art. There's the businesses that I'm starting up, the music, and then there's just me health wise. That's it. That's fucking everything. Personal life, music, business. That's everything. And I will probably be tacking on a fourth one very soon, hopefully very soon, with a job, right? Because I need to start actually have a decent thing of getting money. Got to do that until a lot of these things gain traction and I can just rely on the income that's coming from this, right? Not even just this, but the music company I'm working on, Sty. Until that has its own traction, like I need to get a job, and that's probably going to be another one. So it's literally job, music, Sty, and other creative business stuff, and then personal life.
Mm-hmm.
Anything more than that, I'm chipping away at my ability to be 100% in anything.
Mm.
And for a long time, I was like, oh yeah, I can multitask, I can do all of this. But then I realized like that was never where I excelled at. I excelled at things where I could focus for long periods of time. When I did Olympic target shooting, I was just focusing on a black dot for hours at a time. When I was doing percussion, I was literally going to 12 hours of rehearsal a day, working on one little 4-bar 30-second thing for an hour. Right? And for me, it's very much I need to zoom in. I need to zoom in. If I don't zoom in, I'm doing everything injustice.
I'm trying to figure out like where I stand with you. Like after you guys are talking about this, I'm probably somewhere in the middle where I need to have, where actually I sometimes I get into either one of those moods. Especially sometimes with photo editing and just even like editing certain videos, which can honestly can take all day depending on how like the breadth of the project. But some certain photo shoots can take a couple of hours depending on how many photos I did and how many locations we were at, and even just sorting through them in the beginning, right? That's like one whole wave of it, just picking out all the good ones and deleting all the bad ones if something was blurry, stuff like that. And what I'll do is like I'll just put on music in the background, and then 2 hours later I'm like, where did those 2 hours go? It's just I was so in that zone that I didn't even realize that time was going by. But that's how you know you like what you do, and I don't know.
I think it's that
a
and
cool feeling.
The fact that it's actually engaging.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's very dynamic. Like each photo is a little bit different, and
Yeah.
it's just cool to see like the final product kind of come as you move the little sliders on Lightroom, and
Yeah.
you see the image come to life.
Personally, I
really
believe that
feeling.
just about everybody is that kind of, you need time to get in the zone.
Mm-hmm.
Like you need time to actually get into a flow state and actually be giving 100% of what you can to a thing. Personally, that's just what I believe is like that applies to everybody, like off the bat. The other thing that although I also believe that most people have never actually experienced that kind of flow state. So what they think is 100% is probably only their 70%. And I think that happens to a lot of people where they never actually experience 100% engagement, or they never actually experience being 100% on something without having some kind of layer of distraction or some other thought. It's hard. It's also not something you can really describe.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, flow state is as accurate as you'll get with that.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is. You feel like no time's going by, and you're just so zoned in that everything around you almost becomes black, and like whatever you're looking at is just the main focus. Like it's like tunnel vision.
Yeah.
But in a good way.
Yeah, man. That's important to get into that, have something that puts you there.
Yep.
We gotta start wrapping this up soon.
Yeah, I was looking at the time and I was like,
oh my god. Did not realize.
I noticed.
Did you just check the clock?
Yeah.
One of the biggest indicators was how I noticed like the background getting dimmer. And
oh my god.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was noticing. I was like, why is?
Yeah. Did you realize your window's black, Jayden?
Yeah, it was sunny out. My AirPod just died, my right one. So
there you go, man. Alright. Yeah, is there anything else did you want to talk about Truthable at all? You haven't really talked about it much.
I don't know, I guess so.
Shout out.
Yeah, so I am a CEO and founder of a company called Truthable Inc. Pretty much the whole kind of piece and thing that kind of mission is to give people the peace of mind and just like having the information that they receive is like actually true. So I have an app called Truthable on the App Store on, iOS and Android. 1.1 just came out, but I'm not actually like broadcasting and marketing that too much while we get some more internal things dealing with it. But hey, it's up and we're just constantly trying to get as good as it can be. Doing a lot of AI and machine learning like classes right now to just up my game. Mm-hmm. And it's been a lot, but again, it's the same thing where you have that passion towards something and you see those like 6-hour blocks of time and you're like, this is insane. But then you do it and you're like, 5 hours of coding just happened. How did that, like what? And again, like I am incredibly passionate. I'm incredibly grateful that my life has kind of had this opportunity to do something that like nobody gets to do. I mean, like 2 years ago, I was just like the only people that start companies when they're in high school is like Mark Zuckerberg and like Sergey Brin and Larry, and all that kind of like these upper echelon of people. And then you look at it and like I was 19 when I started Truthable. And it's insane how I'm in that situation.
I think the other part is we conflate all of the people that get really big because we don't hear any of the middle stories. Yeah, there's so many people that start companies in high school, but like no one talks about it as it being a normal thing. Although there are places that it is.
And again, like it still ties in where like I understand going into it. 99% of startups fail. I go into it knowing failure is necessary. And like that's a big thing that I've seen in people that are in like the Launchpad programs and like iSTEM program that kind of has been able to try to start companies where I'm like a completely different mindset and like I understand that this might not go anywhere.
And I think the other part is that entrepreneurship is a career. Like it's its own career.
It's not like something you can study for. You have to like go out there.
You study by doing, and it's like there's a career where there's people who make $60,000 a year doing it. There's people that make millions of dollars a year doing it. Like there's there's still a spectrum. It's not completely do or die.
It's not million.
And that's why,
broke.
That's why I also like I said it previously where I don't care if Truthful's a $1 billion public company or literally $100 and I have to just like dissolve it in like 2 years. It's the stuff that I've learned, the stuff that like I've talked to a lot of really, really high up people that and connections that I've gotten that I would have never have gotten if I was in this experience. And it's all just taking in that stuff and applying it in a bigger thing. And it's just like, that was also a reason why I really want to get my doctorate is like, I see myself not like, yeah, of course, I would love to do Truthable for the rest of my life. But being realistic, it's like, I'd love to be a researcher. I'd love to be a professor teaching and helping others because that's what Truthable is. It is trying to create stuff so that I can help others.
But do you see yourself doing like entrepreneurship past Truthable?
I don't know.
Or is it just a Truthable thing?
Entrepreneurship is like you said, it's crazy because you can be like this insane entrepreneur, or you can be in like the trying to get grasp at little straws. And like I've been we've been like trying to get almost groomed in a sense of like trying to figure out how to get VCs and how they operate. And like I personally don't necessarily like it, but I see myself as the one that teaches and has a supportive role of being a mentor of this is what I've done, this is what I've seen of case studies of other things happening. How can you actually get better? How can you drive yourself to try to grasp at that upper echelon of an entrepreneurship? I've always enjoyed more to help others than it is for that monetary gain, for that being the best of the best. Like I am happy to sit idly by if my work propels others and I might not get as much notice as everyone else.
So I feel like from how you're talking, I feel like you're a very like venture capital minded person. Not like a loan shark, but actually somebody who goes and mentors companies with the experience that they've had.
Yeah, and like that's why like I'm really trying to see if we can add an incubator into Stevens and create something where the students actually are able that have gone through and tried to make their own companies and give others that kind of knowledge in order to hopefully get even better. Because I know for me, it's just like, hey, if you're going to do well and you're going to go better than me, like I want to be in there to help you spur on that fire. Like I'm not going to be the person that's like, I wish that's happened to me. Like, of course, internally, you're always going to have that. That's just human. But I still find it, and I have that insane like passion towards helping others, and that gives me so much happiness in life of being able to then take my knowledge and take all of the lessons I've learned and give it to people. And again, like that's Truthable. It is sharing knowledge and making sure that that information can be given correctly.
Here's one thing I want to put out there. I feel like people have this misconception about business and money. And I feel like this might apply to you, Jayden, but I'm not 100% so that this applies to you. I feel like the misconception is that riches and giving back aren't correlated.
Yeah, money and happiness are not equal. That's just not it.
No. I think it, like, not necessarily. Here's the part.
Interesting.
Money is just, I'm correct in saying money is just a physical representation of value, right?
Yeah.
So if that is a fact, the only way you get money is by bringing value to other people.
I'm not sure what you're getting on. I don't know.
So I feel like a lot of people have this misconception that being rich is you need to trample on other people to get money.
Yeah.
And like that what they want to do is like people, there's so many people who say like, yeah, I just want to give back. I want to bring value to people. And it's like, I don't want the money.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Money is the value though.
So that is true.
Give value to people, you need the money's going to come to you because you're giving value to other people and people give value for value. Period.
Yeah.
That's just one thing. Second is the more money you actually bring in, the more value you get to other people and the more money you bring in, the more value you can actually continue to give to other people.
Because, I mean, if you boil it down, a business is literally just money in equals money out. And if you can provide a service or whatever value, and people bring in money, you should be making more out of it.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing is like it's not even just money in, money out. It's value out, money in.
Yeah,
and then just taking that money to give value to others. Money is just a holding place for value.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. It's not. They're not mutually exclusive. It's like you need one, and the other one will come as like a byproduct of it.
Yeah, they're corollary.
Yeah,
like they first of all they grow together, and second of all, it's like so many people talk about like, oh, I want to give back and I want to bring value, but I don't want the money, or like they talk about money as this bad thing. It's like that's the thing that gives you power to help more people.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Because like even now, we're trying to raise funds for iSTEM so that we can propel more people in the future to do what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Money has to occur. Like it is that's why I said like not inherently like money equals happiness, because you have to proposition that money in a position that will make you happy.
Exactly. It's like you can't buy happiness, but you can buy yourself time to make yourself happy.
Yes.
I feel like that's a very important distinction. Anyway, I think this conversation has been super great so far. Jayden, before we get out of here, where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at 26Jayden. I am also on on Instagram with Truthable at Truthable. Those are pretty much the two big platforms that I use, and that's pretty much it.
All right, you heard it here. Go hit him up on Instagram, DM him, tell him how awesome he is and how awesome this conversation was. And if you got anything out of this, definitely hit us up at JRemyHDZ for me and Akash.
At AkashRana. I did that because I wanted an original username without any numbers, so that's what Instagram had available at the time. So
yeah, man. So go definitely hit us up. If you got something out of this, please share. We love trying to bring as much value as we can. We have these conversations, be as honest as possible, so you can get something out of this, so we can share the things that we've learned. Like Jayden was talking about, we want to bring value to the people and use our ability to be vulnerable to serve as an inspiration to help other people grow as well. Because we know we had people that we looked up to, and we just want to pay for them. So thanks for rocking with us, and we'll see you next time. Peace, y'all.